Takeaways from Kwesi Adofo-Mensah's introductory press conference as Vikings General Manager. Two things I found similar to the previous GM. Number one, he's very sharp. And number two, when asked about processes specific to the team, he wouldn't directly answer. So, two questions come to mind. I like Chris Thomason a lot, man. All these other questions about analytics and your qualifications and what you bring to the table, that's all well and good. Chris Thomason said, we getting straight to the shits. What you going to do at head coach, okay? Nathaniel Hackett, he's off to Denver. Are you going to choose from the remaining 7 candidates in the current pool, or are you going to interview guys from the outside? And later on, he was asked, okay, are you going to have full control over the 53-man roster? And he wouldn't directly answer those questions. As much as we would like for team representatives to be straight up with us, it would make for great content for people like myself, but I like that he doesn't show his hand as far as what he's going to do specifically with the team. Rick Spielman was the same way. Very intelligent, but danced around team-specific questions, which I saw Rick Spielman on Colin Cowherd, and he talked about how it's important for the head coach to have a relationship with the quarterback, which I find very interesting because after the first 3 years of Kirk Cousins with the Vikings, knowing that he had no relationship with the head coach, Rick Spielman, because the Wolf brothers were so hands-off, Rick Spielman was the most powerful man in the Vikings organization and did nothing. So I just find it interesting that you're talking about, oh, it's important for the head coach and the quarterback to have a relationship. You did jack shit. You know what? I'm off it. We talked about the similarities between Kwesi and Rick. Now the difference is Kwesi is all about collaboration, gathering and considering input from others within the organization. He even talked about in his presser how after the presser, he plans on calling and talking to players. He values building relationships. He seems like a player's GM. And you compare that to Rick Spielman, where it's like, it was almost this empire of, I'm the king, I'm the genius here, watch me work. And with Kwesi, it seems like we're getting the exact opposite of that, which is exactly what we need. Now, something else he pointed out that I found very interesting, being even-keeled in the highs and the lows. That's very important. So the highs, 2019, after the playoffs. Well, at least we made the playoffs. Let's give the head coach a contract extension. Yay! I'm assuming the Wolf brothers came up with that decision. If you're the GM in that moment being even-keeled, you approach the Wolf brothers and say, hey, listen, guys, I understand Mark and Ziggy, we made the playoffs. Let's maybe give this guy another year or two before we decide if a contract extension is worth it. And the lows. Okay, holy shit, we lost Irv Smith Jr. What do? I know. Let's give up a 4th-round pick for a tight end who's not even good and panic and Or if you're even killed in that moment, you say, okay, if we're going to trade for a tight end, let's maybe start with a guy like Zach Ertz, who's clearly available. Kwesi seems to understand that you can't make decisions based off of emotion, and that's great. Now, to shift gears a little bit here, the next head coach. I can't stress this enough. It needs to be an offensive-minded head coach. I understand DeMeco Ryans, he's the popular guy right now. And even if he's a defensive guy, as long as he's a leader, that's all that matters. We'll be fine. Look at Bill Belichick. Look at Mike Tomlin. Bill Belichick and Mike Tomlin, as great as they are, we can't ignore the fact that they also were paired with 2 of the greatest quarterbacks of this generation. In the case of Bill Belichick, the greatest quarterback of all time. And I get why it works, because in a way, the quarterback is the nonstop offensive coordinator. The head coach is the captain of the defense. They collaborate together. Boom, a happy marriage. That ain't Kirk Cousins, okay? You need continuity on offense, where guys like Sean McVay is taking dudes like Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford to NFC Championship games. Bringing in a defensive head coach, as great of a leader as he may be, with uncertainty at quarterback is not the way to go for this team. This shit ain't hard. Don't make it more complicated than what it needs to be. The Bears, with Justin Fields as their quarterback, just hired a defensive head coach, so now they need to figure out who the offensive coordinator is going to be next year, and the year after that, and the year after that, and the year after that. Come on, man. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, head coach, trades possibly. draft, free agency. He's going to have a busy offseason. I'm excited to see it. Next video's tomorrow. We'll see you then.